Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion Plays the Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. I'm excited. I mean, the last episode was fast. It was good. Not too much fear. This one, we're starting with Brimstone. GBWK BGZR. But a 52 rate of fire and 2.98 damage. So, it certainly... And don't even get me started on this haircut. Certainly a little bit on the lower side as far as rate of fire goes, but when you factor in Brimstone, it's not that bad. I mean, obviously, if we had a 52 rate of fire, you need some kind of tier modifier to even get there. If somehow you got to a 52 rate of fire with a normal run, may God have mercy on your soul. Like, that's a run where if you win that, you should honestly be... I don't know. I'm just going to say it. You should be the Secretary General of the United Nations, because clearly you have achieved a level of competency that is spectacular from the perspective of all human beings, agnostic of their profession in life. Anybody who can reach that level of acumen in anything deserves a position of merit, in my opinion. I got to tell you, we got a slightly smaller Isaac backlog. We're talking maybe like a week at this point, so we can almost talk about contemporary events without... Let's go down a floor. We got a Spirit Heart protecting us. I think we're fine for now. We can save our bomb to maybe, I don't know, blow up a Tinted Rock on this floor. Or go to the secret room. Or go to the second secret room. Anyway, so again, anytime we talk about current events in 2020... Even like a 1 hour backlog could make you look like a fool, you know? I mean, can you believe that in January we were doing episodes of Isaac where I talked about like New Year's resolutions? What were we thinking, dude? People just trying to make it through one more day right now. But you know, I'm gonna risk it anyway. I gotta say, I'm excited. Hockey is back on, and there have been times for sure where I've openly said it, where I was like, there's no way this playoff thing is gonna actually happen. There's way too many obstacles. It's too risky, obviously. I gotta say, and again, I'm putting myself at great risk of looking like a fool with my pants on the ground if something does go wrong, but I think all things considered, I'm pretty pleased with the way that the NHL has handled things. Forcing players to get tested multiple times a day before they came to the bubble cities, and then in the bubble cities testing them as well. That's not to say there's no risk. There's certainly some risk, and you might perhaps justly say, hey, why take any risk just to play sports ball? That's valid. I think there's some validity to that that's worth being discussed. But if they're... Well, I mean, the answer is because, A, people want to see it, and B, if they don't play, they're going to lose, like, hundreds of millions of dollars in the organization elite. But, you know, whether you consider that valid or not is up to you. But either way, if they're going to do it, seem to be doing a good job. It was nice to be able to watch a little bit yesterday. You know, if anything, it has made me a much less spoiled sports fan. Like, even when things were normal, when the Canucks games were on, sometimes I would be like, you know, today's is on a little early. I don't really want to watch it. And now I'm like, oh my god, two teams I don't care about playing at 4 p.m. local time? Clear my schedule? Guess we should have gone to our item room, huh? Probably would have been a more productive use of our single key. Ooh, there we go. Now, it's going to change, but I think it's actually made me more of a sports fan than merely a fan of my local team. Which is an interesting position to be in. Mostly I'm starved for entertainment right now, I suppose. Alright, we like this. We're getting close to spun. I think we do like it, honestly. I think we do like it. Oh, if you'll excuse me, there's a knock on the door. One moment, please. Corporate accounts payable, Nina speaking. Just a moment. I'm back. That's my way of saying I'm back. Brimstone pencil does not work, right? We're not John Wick. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, sports. You gotta be careful, I mean... baseball was like, hey, we're back. And then they were like, ooh. But apparently, I don't want to spread speculation, but, you know, this is what I read, is that the Miami Marlins, who are the sports team where, like, a dozen people tested positive for the virus, and while they were waiting for their tests to come back, they actually played in a game without notifying the other team involved that they were getting a test done. I read that the current scuttlebutt, at least, is that the exposure to the virus may have happened on a team trip to an Atlanta strip club. Which is just like... I just really want to be like, come on, lads. Have you've been watching the news in 2020? Like, there's one thing to be like, hey, we're gonna try to, like, run sports as normal. You're gonna travel. You know, you're going to be visiting lots of other cities. Obviously, that amps up your risk. But I feel like if you're, like, the commissioner of the MLB, you're like, could you just not do, like, the worst possible thing for... It's like that's... Next to maybe, like, I don't know, going to a karaoke bar and singing in each other's faces, that might be, like, the most likely way to catch a contagious illness. Like, could you just meet us halfway and not do that? Even, like, there's been, I think, like, 6 or 7 Vancouver, like, known spreader events, if that makes sense, which is a great, great phrase to use when you're talking about these particular places of business, I suppose, but the pun was not originally intended. At least 2 of them are adult entertainment venues, like the one aforementioned. And then there's a couple of nightclubs, and then, like, a few restaurants as well. So, like, I got to imagine, like, if I was the commissioner of Major League Baseball, I would be like, you just don't get it, do you? We could have had something that, I mean, maybe it was just a matter of time until something got in the way anyway, but... It's also been weird. You know what I've noticed about, and this is not to be, you know, a so-called doomer, but watching TV and seeing, like, the advertisements that are on is a very surreal experience right now. Why does every truck commercial talk as if the situation is resolved? I mean, I know the answer, but, like, every single commercial was... Back in March and April, they were like, in these unforeseen times, in these strange times. Now they're like, the world's getting started again, and we all learned that we're in this together. Even, and this is like, it blows my mind. The Jeep ad is like, maybe in quarantine, we learned the true value of freedom. And I'm like, it ain't over. What are you talking about? Who greenlit this ad? I got some graphs I need you to look at. But anyway, that's not to say don't buy a Jeep. I have no idea if it's a respectable vehicle or not. I'm just saying the ad makes no sense to me on a literal level. But, oh, well, I won't go into that room just yet then. I know, I mean, if people feel better, they're probably more likely to buy. I hear that, don't get me wrong. But I'm also like, I think you're just like, can you just do that? Can you just get on the television and tell lies? I guess it's not a lie to say that things are starting back up again. If you're like, businesses are starting to open again, sure, that's true, I suppose. Just the tone of the advertisements that are like, you did it. Now reward yourself with a brand new truck. I'm like, did what? Gain 15 pounds in quarantine? No truck for me, thanks. Anyway, no? Okay, well, we got our key refunded at least. I can live with that. Now, here's the thing. A spirit heart is good. But I don't know where we stand on this level. That's the... It's tough. It's tough. I think... Here's my... maybe it's not my thought. I almost big-brained myself into disaster there, I think. I think we deal with this fight, but you're rushing a little bit. And by I mean me. I'm rushing a little bit. So just slow it down. See what you get from your deal with the devil here. This might be a good time to take Monkey Paw for the time being. I think, and I think you know where I'm going with this one. The right play is to take this. And if... Maybe there was a way that we could have gotten Monkey's Paw to give us Maw of the Void as well. But Maw of the Void is substantially less critical than Satanic Bible. I mean, with Satanic Bible and Brimstone, our win rate has got to be 100. I know that I've recorded a lot of Isaac episodes, but like that's how confident I am in this combination. I think it's borderline impossible to lose. If I've ever lost with it, which is conceivable, but if I've ever lost with it, I would almost guarantee that the loss is like, I picked up Brimstone, had 1 HP left, and died before I could use Satanic Bible. It's also weird watching television now, like live sports, and seeing the homes and offices of the people who are like the talking heads. Not the band. That'd be sick though. I wonder what David Byrne's home office looks like. I wonder if Tina Weymouth likes the garden. You ever notice the popularity of theme restaurants these days? Anyway, I know you were like, he doesn't know a second member of Talking Heads. Wrong. I know 2 members of Talking Heads. I'm a true fan. Oh, you're a Talking Heads fan? Really? Name half of their members. Anyway. Forgot where I was going. You think they have set dressers that that dress the space behind the personalities that do those TV interviews? Shouldn't have walked into that. Because I was watching Hockey Night in Canada last night for a bit, and Kelly Rudy was given an interview because he's a talking head that's on the show all the time. You don't need to know who these people are if you don't watch hockey. And behind him is literally a framed copy of every significant document and event in his life. I have some framed things in my offices, or in my I don't have offices, orifices maybe. Well, definitely. Otherwise, I'd be dead, I think. But or at least quite uncomfortable. But I got some framed stuff. You know, I got my YouTube play button for 100,000 subscribers framed, and I got another place picked out for the 1 million one. It should be here any day now. And you know, I'm proud of this stuff, but I never really like, I don't know. Honest, like, can I be honest with you about the state of my office? There is the frame that my YouTube play button is in is maybe. It's like 8.5 by 11. It's like the size of a normal sheet of paper in portrait mode. On the other wall, I have I would say a 3-foot by 2-foot framed in a rich mahogany frame that we had custom, not custom made, but like custom fitted, of a jigsaw puzzle that Kate completed that is a map of the world. So that shows the relative pride that I take in my accomplishments. I think we might, I don't know if this is true. Do we have a framed copy of my university diploma? I know my parents, like, it was on display in my parents' house for a while. But it's like, I mean, I'm not a dentist. Like, if you're in my room, I don't need to be like, oh, wow. I don't need people to be like, wow, a 4-year degree in a basic science from what used to be one of Canada's top universities, but now its reputation has been tarnished a little bit by poor town-gown relations and a reputation for prodigious partying. An entitled student body? Yeah, okay. By the way, I can say it. I went there. Oh, did you're Oil Thigh Nabanrigan KA? Okay, cool. Did you enjoy the Arc, one of the state-of-the-art university gyms in Canada? Cool, I didn't. I did pay for it with my student fees. I hope you guys enjoyed the elliptical machines. Anyway, I'm not bitter. I'm just not that... I'm not one of those people who's like, I am like super proud of my alumni, or of my alma mater. Definitely, like in first year of university, you know, I was proud of the school that I went to because you don't know any better. You're a kid, right? Still figuring yourself out. Hold on. We definitely do not want to get rid of blank card. I just have to think about... yeah, just work with me on this one. So I went to like all the homecoming football game, and you know, there's a homecoming kind of like parade and stuff like that. And you know, you see people like, oh, class of 86, class of 91, class of 2000, class of 2004. And you're like, maybe when I'm 10 years out of university, maybe when I'm 20 years out of university, I could come back and put on my leather jacket and smash it into the concrete like I did when I was 19. I didn't actually own the... I didn't own the armor, but hold on. For a bomb, I bet we can get this. And whether it costs us a bomb or some HP, well, it won't cost us a bomb. I think that's worth it. Then once I got out of university, I was like, I don't know. I just can't imagine... I can't imagine being at a place, I guess, in my life where I'm like, you know what would be worth, like, thousands of dollars of my money? Is, like, traveling back to the lecture halls where I sat in with 300 other people and pretending to be 18 years old again. But different strokes for different folks. I'm not saying I'm better than, I just kind of like, doesn't strike me the same way it strikes some other people. Not everybody, obviously. I've talked about it before, it's the same with the high school reunion. I'm like, I don't... Oh my god, dude. Let me out! I kind of just, like with high school reunions, I sort of just... I don't get the point. Like, I'm friends with a couple of people from high school. We talk. We have a high school reunion every time we speak. Hello. Nice to be reunited. Haven't spoken to you in a couple days. But everybody else at the high school, literally, the only reason I know who they are is because we all were born in the same temporal proximity and the same geographic proximity. I have no nostalgia for them. They might be great people. They might be better people than me. I just... So what? I guess. Oh, I want it because it is fun. Let's go. Good. Astute. An astute play. Hey, now we can go to the cursor and maybe become Guppy. Now, if the flip side of this is, if I still lived in my hometown and there was a high school reunion, I would probably go. Because what else are you going to do? There's nothing to do. But would I fly across our vast nation? No. Absolutely not. And that's that. Anyway. I wish I had a pivot off of that, but I don't. I'm just kind of, you know, that's my 2 cents on it. I'm not bitter about it. I'm happy with where I went to school. Again, I actually have no idea about his reputation. It's less that I'm, like, unhappy about my school at this point. It's more like, hey, like, if you're Canadian and you're watching this, like, don't let your parents hear me say this, okay? Where you get your average undergrad degree doesn't really affect that much, in my opinion. Now, I know that... Look, you should talk to your guidance counselors and, you know, prospective employers in your field about stuff like that. You shouldn't listen to a YouTuber. 100%, but my perception is, like, you know, if you got a degree in biology, a 4-year degree in biology, it doesn't really matter whether you went to St. Mary's, Dalhousie, McGill, Queens, UBC, you know, it's all, you learn the same stuff. Like, I'm somewhat proud of my institution, I suppose, but at the same time, it's not like when I was sitting in a 400-person Biology 205 Mendelian genetics class, I was like, wow. This guy's really good. It was more like, you know, he's reading off the slides. Now, it's, you know, the level that you go to with your degree, maybe at that point, if you're like, you know, I got my master's from a top university, I'd be like, all right, now we're getting somewhere. Not to be snobby about it. If anything, I'm snobbing myself out of the equation. Sometimes it happens, like, people will leave a comment and be like, NL, I've been watching you since I was in high school, and I just finished my PhD program in, like, Hawking radiation. And I'm like, wow. That's honestly one of the most flattering things you can hear, is that Like, a comment that basically boils down to, I'm a genius, and I dedicate some of my leisure time to listening to the nonsense that comes out of your mouth. But I'm also like, this is all temporary. One day, someone with an acerbic wit that also knows what they're talking about in the field of black body radiation is going to start their own podcast, and you'll be out of here. I think we just leave on this one. I didn't even notice our rate of fire is down to 29. That's pretty good. As is everything else about this run. You know, here's a strat I haven't thought about in Isaac about streaking. What if we hold these truths to be self-evident, that if you get an item on a day, you're more likely to get that item more often that day? What if you started every day playing one run of Isaac, and then if you got great items, you dedicated the rest of the day to just mainlining it? Hold on, if you want to get a streak of infinite length, here's a thought. Why don't you just cheat? Why don't you just open Cheat Engine in the background and be like, today, I want Polyphemus as my starting. I don't even know if you could do that. One of the big positives about losing occasionally in Isaac is that it really does a good job of deflecting any possible suspicion that you might be engaging in impropriety. It's like in the Major League Baseball, the Houston Astros were cheating. And if you're an Astros fan, here's the thing. Well, we can talk about this. We haven't talked about sports in a while. I'm not a baseball fan, really, but I understand sports fandom. And my team, the Vancouver Canucks, were the bad guys of the NHL for a while. You know, they had pests, and they were very good. And that's really like all you need to kind of have a lot of people in the league, or fans of the league, dislike you. Not to say that there's a persecution complex. Like, Vancouver fans, I think, do have a little bit of like, the league hates us, which doesn't seem sensible to me. However, we are cursed historically. Regardless of this, though, if you're an Astros fan and you're trying to think about how should I reconcile the fact that my team cheated with my fandom, here's my 2 cents on the subject. You're not responsible for the actions of your team. You know? You don't have to be like, you know, if somebody comes up to you and is like, hey, why'd you guys engage in some unfair, unsportsmanlike improprieties? You're like, dude, I just turn on my television and I watch the balls go into the stands. You know, that's not for you to say. I feel like we don't take it. I hope I'm not making a small mistake there. I don't think you need to switch fandom as a result of that. Because at the end of the day, you know, most people, you're not rooting for the team because, like, when you started watching baseball, you're like, this is the most honorable team in the league, right? Like, you're rooting for the team because you're, like, from Houston. Or when you were 6, they were good when you first started watching baseball. Or, like, your family historically are Houston Astros fans, or, you know, blah, blah, blah. As far as I'm concerned, you don't need to answer that. Or answer for that, in my opinion. However, you also have to laugh when people make jokes about it. But I will say, to offer something in your own defense, I wouldn't say I'm sure, because I'm speaking from a position of huge ignorance. Without a doubt. I can't say for certain that other teams in the MLB were cheating. But you know that it's probable that there were some teams engaging in the same sorts of stuff, maybe not to the same degree, that just weren't very good at it. Now, I'm not saying that to defend you, but I always think about, like, you know, like a professional cycling. How, like, Lance Armstrong, don't get me wrong, he cheated. There's no doubt he cheated. However, so did, like, the next best 123 guys. So I'm not saying he's not kind of a scumbag. It's less for the doping, quite frankly, in my opinion at least, and more for, like, the denial and the, I don't know, attempted legal takedowns of his critics over the years before he admitted it. What are you doing? Hold on, I got distracted talking about Lance. Sometimes, you know, when you... Well, I don't know, I'm not trying to create a... Here's the thing. You should play by the rules. However, I'm sure there are situations where, you know, when you slightly don't... You start to not play by the rules because other people aren't playing by the rules. Then you're the best at it and you get caught and you go, what gives? But, you know, I mean, that's the price you pay when you shake hands with the devil like that. I guess is what I would say. Sometimes people, by the way, and I had this opinion as well when I was younger, but to an extent at least. Because when you're, you know, when you're a teenager, you don't necessarily think things through all the way. You're like, well, there should just be a league where they play with, let all drugs be legal and see how many homers people hit. It'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, but like, don't get me wrong, seeing people rip like 103 dingers a year would be pretty sick. But like, alternatively, you're kind of like endorsing something that A, is illegal, and B, can definitely be misused and be like harmful for your health. So like, maybe at some point you could make it, you could work with doctors to make it doable, but you know, not in the current situation for sure. And then also secondarily, because if you're gonna use, you know, performance enhancing drugs in the majors, then you're gonna end up with like, you know, kids in Little League that are 10 years old and they're like, it's time for your D-Bowl, sweetie. You got the 10-year-olds growing like full beards and stuff like that. They got HGH guts 4 feet high and they weigh like 210 pounds of solid muscle. You know, it's, you know, what an adult chooses to do to some extent with their own health and body is their own responsibility. But when you start to be like, oh, you want to be a professional baseball player, then you have to, you know, start hitting the growth hormone at age 11 or something like that. You know, the trickle-down effect of that is nasty. We can forego a few home runs a year, I think, in order to keep our nation's youth on the straight and narrow from an endocrinological perspective. Wouldn't you say, Zach? But all I would say is like, hey, I don't know how you would cheat in hockey. Outside of like match fixing. That would be really bad. If it came out that like the Vancouver Canucks owner paid referees to, you know, call games in favor of the Canucks, that would be one that would be hard to reconcile. I might become a Krakens fan. But I don't know, at the same token, I'm kind of like, you know, I'm rooting for the team, not because I'm like, oh, the Canucks really appeal to me. I'm rooting for them because I live in Vancouver. So as long as they cleared house after that, I would be like, you know what? I think I'm still a Canucks fan. And when people were like, why don't you pay the referees to let you win this one? I would be like, you know what? You got me. Just so you know, I personally wasn't involved with that decision, but I do acknowledge that my team can be ribbed for that. Anyway, that's my thoughts on sports. Sports. Wonder if the NFL is going to run this year. I know it's the question on everybody's mind, but like, if they're going to try to run a regular season, or as regular as possible with like travel, home and away games, no bubble, etc., man, that's going to be... You're playing with fire there. No fans is like a given, but... Anyway, get me out of here. We're gonna be, this will be like 5 or 4 wins in a row. I just wish that I could like send an item 5D chess style backwards in time, and then like give myself Holy Mantle on our next run by paying it forward, dropping it in a little virtual mailbox. Actually, you know what I would like even more is to send Brimstone forward a run. Admittedly, we've used we've used it up. There's no juice left, but I'm also like, dude, it would be a nice fit. Considering that we're only using Sack Dagger and Holy Mantle for like 99% of our damage right now, I really can't complain. We've had some good runs today. You might say, NL, what happened to the case of the Phantom cigarette smoke smell. We have now surmised that I believe the aroma has come from a set of Mahjong tiles that Kate has purchased. Kate, are you in the living room? How are we gonna play? I'm taking my headphones off. How are we gonna play Mahjong in real life? We need like a PhD to do the scoring. She said just learn forehead. But the Yapatsus and the Uradoras and the Ricci sticks and the dealer sticks and the... She says we have them all. We need like a referee or something. Like a tournament. We need a judge like from Magic. She's laughing, but she's frustrated with my ignorance. I can tell. I don't know. Can you? I know there's tables that will shuffle the tiles for you. Can you get tables that automatically score? Could like they just have like little sensors inside each of the tiles? She said I don't think so. Any engineers out there? There's something for you. If you can make a... By the way, the set would probably cost like $1,500, but still. If you can make a combination Mahjong table and Mahjong set that automatically calculates score, oh baby. You would stand to make dozens of dollars. I will say, Kate, I don't know if it's... I owe you for getting me into Mahjong. And then our influence has gotten Dan, Malf, and Apollo into Mahjong. Have you noticed that the Mahjong Soul lobbies have like 10 times more people lately? It used to be, there might be like 100 people online in the Bronze East rooms. Now, like over the past 2 weeks, there's been like 1,300 people. I think we are single-handedly bringing Mahjong to a modern millennial audience. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. That's 4 wins in a row. And we'll see you next time. See ya!